Kai's starship shuddered violently as it passed through the meteor storm. Sparks flew along the control panels, alarms screamed, and the hull groaned like it might tear apart at any second. He gritted his teeth, gripping the steering controls, trying to keep the ship steady. Then a bright flash hit the left wing. The ship lurched violently, throwing him against the seat. Metal screeched and glass cracked. With a final jolt, the ship spiraled out of control and slammed onto the surface of a dark, rocky planet. The impact knocked Kai unconscious for a moment. When he woke, dust filled the air, and the metallic taste of smoke lingered in his mouth. He pushed himself up, examining the wreck. The ship was badly damaged, sparking and twisted, useless unless he could find parts. His heart pounded as he realized how far from any known space route he was. The sky above was dark, filled with strange, faintly glowing clouds. The land stretched out in jagged cliffs, shadowy valleys, and glowing plants that pulsed with soft light. The place seemed alive, and yet silent. Too silent. Kai tore a pack from the wreck and began scavenging supplies. Food rations, a first aid kit, a few tools, and some water were all he had. He knew he needed to move and find a safe place before nightfall. The wind howled across the rocky plains, carrying with it an eerie whisper that made him shiver. As he climbed a ridge to get a better view, a low growl made him freeze. He turned slowly. There, a few meters below, in a shadowed crevice, a massive creature watched him. Its scales shimmered faintly in the dim light. Its eyes glowed like molten gold, and its body was hunched and thin. Kai swallowed hard. The creature was enormous, its head alone larger than him. He knew dragons existed only in old galactic legends, dismissed as myths by most scientists. Yet here one stood, wounded and weak, not attacking, just watching. The growl came again, softer this time, almost like a whine. Kai realized the dragon wasn't hunting him, it was scared and hungry. He hesitated. His gut screamed danger, but his heart pushed him forward. Slowly, he removed some rations from his pack and held them out. "Here," he said quietly. "Take it. I'm not going to hurt you." The dragon tilted its massive head, sniffing the food. Its breathing was shallow and uneven, and its tail twitched nervously. Then, cautiously, it stepped forward, jaws opening wide. Kai watched, tense, as the dragon picked up the rations and ate. He could see the wounds along its flank, the dried blood and scars from old injuries. After the dragon ate, it stayed in place, its glowing eyes following him. Kai didn't move. He didn't want to scare it away, but he also didn't want it to attack if it felt threatened. Hours passed in tense silence. The sun began to set, painting the rocky landscape in red and orange. The dragon, now resting, curled its long body into the shadows. Kai knew he needed to sleep, but he also knew he couldn't leave the creature alone or unprotected. That night, he built a small fire from dry twigs he found among the glowing plants. The light flickered over the dragon's scales, making them shine faintly in the dark. He kept one eye on the creature, who occasionally raised its head to watch him, studying every movement. Sleep came in fits and starts. Every noise outside made Kai sit up and scan the darkness. But the dragon didn't move. It was trusting him, or at least, not afraid enough to attack. When dawn broke, the planet looked different. The glowing plants reflected the soft light, and the jagged cliffs cast long shadows across the valleys. Kai stretched, aching from the night, and glanced at the dragon. It was awake now, stretching its wings, and testing its strength. Its breathing was more steady, but Kai could see the pain in its eyes. He remembered the stories he had heard about dragons, fierce, terrifying, nearly unstoppable. This one, however, seemed broken, yet alive, and somehow familiar. Kai approached slowly, holding more rations in his hand. "You need to eat," he said softly. The dragon didn't respond at first, then stepped forward, sniffed his hand, and took the food gently. Kai realized that feeding it had begun a connection. Not just survival, but trust. He wasn't sure how long they would last, or if the dragon could defend them both if danger came, but he knew one thing: he had saved it, and now it owed him something, or maybe he owed it. He explored the area carefully, marking safe paths and examining the cliffs for places to hide if needed. Every crack in the rocks, every shadow, could hold a threat, but the dragon seemed to sense the danger before he did. Sometimes he would glance behind, and the creature would appear silently, watching over him like a shadow guardian. At first, it startled him, but slowly he began to accept it. By midday, Kai noticed strange patterns in the glowing plants and rocks. It was like the planet itself was alive, and somehow aware of them. He thought about the legends of sentient worlds, but pushed the thought aside. Survival was more important. He began repairing the ship in small ways, using tools and makeshift parts. The dragon watched, curious, tilting its head, occasionally nudging pieces with its snout. Kai laughed softly. "You might actually help me if you don't burn my tools," he said. The dragon's rumble sounded like agreement. As the sun dipped again, casting long shadows, Kai felt a strange sense of calm. He and the dragon, alone on this unknown world, had found each other. One was hungry, broken, and feared by the galaxy. The other was human, lost, and afraid. Together, they survived. Kai didn't know what the future held, or whether he would ever leave this planet alive, but for the first time in days, he didn't feel alone. And the dragon, though it could destroy him easily, stayed close, its golden eyes following every move, as if silently promising, it would not leave him, and if needed, it might die for him. Kai woke before dawn, the pale light brushing the jagged cliffs around the crash site. The dragon, which he now thought of as Pyrrhus, was already moving, stretching its wings and pacing near the glowing plants. Its breathing was heavy, but stronger than yesterday. Kai studied the wounds along Pyrrhus's flank and realized they were deeper than he had first thought. The creature had clearly been trapped in something sharp, plasma scorches and old cuts marked its body. He prepared a small bandage with cloth from his uniform and some antiseptic from his kit. Pyrrhus watched silently, its golden eyes alert and unblinking. Kai took a deep breath. "This will hurt, but I can help you," he said softly. The dragon lowered its head slightly, letting Kai approach. Carefully, Kai cleaned the wounds, muttering encouragement to the creature. Pyrrhus flinched but did not lash out. When Kai wrapped the bandages, the dragon exhaled a low rumble, almost like a sigh. Kai smiled. "See? Not so bad." Food was their first priority. Kai checked his supplies, he had only a few rations left. He tore them into smaller pieces, showing Pyrrhus how to eat without getting hurt. The dragon followed him carefully, swallowing slowly. Every bite seemed to restore some energy. Kai noticed that Pyrrhus watched his movements closely, almost studying him. It was clear that the dragon was not just trusting him blindly, it was learning from him. As the hours passed, Kai explored the area cautiously. The planet was harsh, full of sharp rocks and glowing plants that seemed to react when he touched them. Every shadow could hide danger, but Pyrrhus followed silently, staying close. Kai could feel the dragon's eyes on him constantly, as if sensing every step, every thought. They moved together through the cliffs and valleys, learning each other's pace, each other's signals. Kai realized that Pyrrhus was intelligent, far more than any creature he had ever known. The dragon mimicked small gestures, nodding its head, tilting its wings, even moving its tail to signal curiosity or caution. When Kai stopped at a narrow ledge, Pyrrhus crouched low, sniffing and examining the path. When he gave a cautious hand signal, the dragon followed carefully. Kai laughed softly. "You're smarter than most engineers I know," he said. Pyrrhus responded with a low, almost approving rumble. During midday, Kai tried to repair parts of the ship using salvaged metal and tools. He needed to create a small beacon, a way to signal for help if anyone passed nearby. Pyrrhus wandered around the wreckage, nudging pieces gently, sometimes accidentally breaking things, but always curious. Kai noticed how the dragon seemed to understand the purpose of his work. It did not interfere recklessly. Kai felt a strange warmth. Here was a creature feared across the galaxy, yet it treated him with respect and caution, as if recognizing his intelligence. By late afternoon, Kai realized they needed shelter. Night brought cold winds and eerie sounds from the cliffs. He guided Pyrrhus to a hidden cave behind a waterfall of faintly glowing liquid. Inside, the temperature was stable, and the shadows made them almost invisible from above. Kai built a small fire using the dry glowing plants, careful not to burn the cave. Pyrrhus stayed close, curling partially around him, as if protecting both himself and Kai. As darkness fell, Kai noticed that Pyrrhus's eyes shone brighter in the dim light. The dragon's breathing slowed, but a low, soft rumble echoed through the cave. Kai spoke quietly. "I don't know how long we'll be here, or if anyone will find us. But we'll survive, together." Pyrrhus tilted its massive head, almost acknowledging him, a gesture that made Kai feel a bond forming that was deeper than fear or instinct. Over the next few days, Kai and Pyrrhus settled into a routine. Kai taught the dragon how to move carefully over sharp rocks and around dangerous plants. Pyrrhus, in turn, began showing Kai ways to use the planet's natural features for protection, how to hide in shadows, how to detect approaching creatures by sound or vibration. They became a team. Where one was weak, the other strengthened. Where one hesitated, the other encouraged. Kai learned that fear was mutual. Pyrrhus was wary of humans, just as Kai was wary of dragons. Yet, through small acts, feeding, tending wounds, sharing fire, they overcame that fear. Kai began to understand the dragon's moods, the subtle flick of its tail, the tension in its wings, the depth of its stare. Pyrrhus began to recognize Kai's signals, responding to silent commands and warnings. They were no longer just human and dragon, they were partners. One evening, Kai noticed a shimmer in the distance. A patrol drone must have passed overhead. Pyrrhus immediately crouched, wings folding close, tail twitching. Kai whispered, "It's okay, it's just a scout. But we must be careful." The dragon's low rumble was steady, not panicked. Kai realized that Pyrrhus was learning not only to trust him but to act on his instincts. The bond was more than survival, it was respect, understanding, and a shared need to protect each other. By the end of the week, Kai was no longer just a survivor on this strange planet. He had a companion, a teacher, and a guardian in Pyrrhus. He could feel the dragon's loyalty, raw and unspoken, and knew that in the moments ahead, when danger came, they would face it together. Kai smiled, brushing dirt and ash from his clothes. "You might just save me one day," he said softly. Pyrrhus responded with a low, warm rumble, and for the first time, Kai felt truly connected to a creature the galaxy had feared for centuries. They slept side by side that night, one human, one dragon, both wounded, both learning. And somewhere deep in the glowing shadows of the planet, Kai felt the quiet truth: the galaxy had no idea what it would face when a human and a dragon fought together. Kai and Pyrrhus had grown used to the rhythm of the strange planet. Each day they explored, scavenged, and learned to trust each other more. Kai repaired some parts of the starship, but he knew that leaving would not be easy. The planet was remote, and no one would find him quickly. Yet he felt safer with Pyrrhus by his side. The dragon's golden eyes followed him constantly, alert, and his massive wings were ready to carry them both if danger appeared. One afternoon, while Kai was examining the jagged cliffs for useful minerals, a distant hum filled the sky. It started low, almost imperceptible, then grew louder. Kai froze, scanning the horizon. Dozens of small, metallic shapes glinted in the sunlight above. A fleet of alien patrol ships hovered near the edge of the valley. Their hulls were polished, reflecting the planet's strange glowing light, and their energy weapons sparkled ominously. Kai's heart pounded. The Xenons were known throughout the galaxy as hunters and warriors. He knew they were after rare creatures and resources, and Pyrrhus's plasma-rich body made him a target. Pyrrhus growled low in his throat, the sound vibrating through the rocky ground. Kai placed a hand on the dragon's scaled neck. "Stay calm. We can get out of this," he whispered. The dragon's eyes scanned the ships carefully, wings tensing for flight. Kai realized Pyrrhus sensed the danger before he could fully grasp it. The bond they had formed gave them both a strange, unspoken connection. The first patrol ship swooped down, scanning the cliffs with a bright blue light. Kai ducked behind a boulder as the beam passed over them. Pyrrhus crouched low, wings folded tight, tail twitching nervously. The dragon's body glowed faintly under the ship's scanner. Kai thought quickly. They could not fight these ships directly. The Xenons were fast, armored, and had weapons capable of piercing even Pyrrhus's thick scales. They needed a plan. Kai led Pyrrhus through a hidden path along the cliffs, a route he had discovered while exploring. The dragon moved silently, powerful claws gripping the rocks, eyes sharp and alert. The ships followed, scanning, but the narrow canyon slowed them. Kai spotted a natural trap ahead, a series of jagged rocks forming a narrow funnel. If they timed it correctly, they could make the aliens crash or at least lose formation. "Ready?" Kai whispered. Pyrrhus rumbled in response, crouching low. Together, they sprinted through the funnel. Pyrrhus's massive wings barely fit between the rocks, but he folded them and used his tail for balance. As they exited, one of the ships misjudged the space and clipped a rock, spinning out of control. Explosions lit the air, and the other ships hesitated. Kai's heart raced, but he knew the danger was far from over. The Xenons regrouped and began scanning the area more carefully. Kai realized they would return with heavier firepower if he stayed. He needed to learn the planet quickly, and he needed to teach Pyrrhus to fight smarter, not just run. He spent the next hours showing the dragon hidden crevices, safe ledges, and paths where alien scanners would not reach. Pyrrhus observed every move, learning how to anticipate danger and protect both of them. By evening, the fleet had left temporarily, but the threat remained. Kai and Pyrrhus rested in a small cave, the glowing plants casting eerie shadows across the walls. Kai studied the dragon's body, noting that its wounds had healed more than he expected, yet it still had faint scars from the earlier hunt. "You're stronger than I thought," he said softly. Pyrrhus tilted his head, as if acknowledging the compliment. Kai realized something important. The dragon's instinct to protect him was growing stronger. Pyrrhus did not just follow, he anticipated. When Kai moved cautiously, the dragon mirrored him. When he sensed danger, Pyrrhus sensed it before him. It was as if their minds had synced, their bond turning into something more than trust, understanding. Kai smiled faintly. Maybe the galaxy underestimates humans, he whispered, and maybe it underestimates dragons too. Night fell, and the stars above shone faintly through the glowing clouds. Kai kept a small fire lit, enough for warmth but not enough to draw attention. Pyrrhus curled beside him, massive and protective. The dragon's rumble was steady, comforting, and Kai felt a strange courage rising in him. No matter what the fleet sent next, they would face it together. He was not alone. Suddenly, a faint vibration shook the cave floor. Kai stiffened. Pyrrhus lifted his head, nostrils flaring. Another patrol drone had come closer than expected. Kai grabbed a piece of metal and threw it into the shadows, creating a small distraction. Pyrrhus leapt silently from the cave, wings spreading, landing with careful precision. The drone's sensors picked up movement, but by the time it adjusted, both were gone, hidden among the cliffs. Kai realized then that Pyrrhus had learned more than just survival. The dragon had become a fighter, a guardian, and a partner. Together, they could evade, confuse, and maybe even fight off enemies far more powerful than themselves. The human mind, combined with dragon strength and instinct, created a new kind of force the galaxy had never seen. Kai whispered to Pyrrhus as they crouched in the shadows. They don't know what we are. They think a dragon can be captured, or a human defeated. They don't understand loyalty, courage, or friendship. Pyrrhus responded with a low, steady rumble. Kai smiled faintly, feeling hope for the first time since the crash. The danger from the sky was real, but it had taught them both something important. Together, they were stronger than the sum of their parts. The night passed quietly, but the threat lingered. Kai knew the Xenons would return, maybe with more firepower, maybe with traps. But he also knew that Pyrrhus would not leave him. And he would not leave Pyrrhus. The bond of fire and fear, the bond between human and dragon, was now unbreakable. Together, they waited for the sky to challenge them again, ready for whatever the galaxy would throw at them next. Kai had grown used to the rhythms of the planet, and so had Pyrrhus. Together, they moved with silent steps over jagged cliffs, through glowing valleys, and across shadowed ridges. But Kai knew their peace could not last. The alien fleet, the Xenons, had returned. This time, the hum in the sky was louder, heavier, filled with the promise of capture. Kai's stomach tightened. The Xenons didn't just want the dragon, they wanted him too, the human who had formed a bond the galaxy considered impossible. The first ship appeared above the valley, a massive vessel bristling with weapons and energy nets designed for capturing creatures like Pyrrhus. Kai ducked behind a boulder, watching the fleet move in formation. The dragon crouched low beside him, tail flicking nervously. "We can't fight them head-on," Kai whispered. Pyrrhus responded with a low rumble, its body tense and ready. Kai thought quickly. He remembered the narrow funnels of jagged rock they had used before. If they could lure the fleet there, the terrain could work as a weapon. He motioned to Pyrrhus, who nodded slightly, understanding without words. Together, they moved cautiously, keeping low, avoiding the glowing scanners of the ships. Every step was a risk. One misstep, one noise, and the fleet would spot them. As they reached the funnel, Kai paused. Pyrrhus flared his wings slightly, ready to spring into action. The ships had split into smaller patrols, searching for them from multiple directions. Kai whispered, "We need to move fast. Follow me." Pyrrhus obeyed, sliding between rocks, tail balancing, wings tucked tightly. The dragon's instincts guided them perfectly. When the lead patrol ship flew too close, Pyrrhus exhaled a sudden burst of fire, hitting the side of the ship. Sparks flew. The ship wobbled, narrowly avoiding a collision with a cliff. The other ships hesitated, scanning for the source. Kai led them through the funnel. Rocks above loosed with his movements, falling onto one ship. Another clipped the jagged edges and tumbled out of formation. The Xenons tried to adjust, but Pyrrhus moved faster than they expected, swooping over the cliffs and leading Kai through the safest paths. It was clear that the dragon's loyalty was not blind, it was strategic, precise, and protective. Suddenly, a massive energy net shot from one of the ships, aimed directly at Pyrrhus. Kai's heart jumped. "Now, Pyrrhus," he shouted. The dragon twisted in midair, dodging the net. It collided with the cliff, rolling but recovering instantly. Kai ran to keep up, dodging falling rocks. The fleet fired again, but Pyrrhus's speed and agility kept them ahead. Yet Kai noticed the dragon's breathing had grown heavy, wings trembling slightly. The plasma hit earlier had not fully healed. Kai realized they had to fight smarter, not just run. Using small pieces of metal from the wreck, he created makeshift flare traps along their path. As the ships pursued, the flares ignited, blinding sensors and confusing targeting systems. Pyrrhus roared, wings spreading wide, flames shooting in controlled bursts to keep the aliens off balance. Kai felt adrenaline pumping. Together, they were more than human and dragon, they were a single force. But danger struck when a larger ship descended directly above them. The dragon lunged to protect Kai, taking the brunt of an energy blast meant for him. Pyrrhus crashed into a crater, massive wings folding awkwardly. Dust and smoke filled the air. Kai ran, reaching the dragon and dropping beside him. Pyrrhus groaned, a low, painful sound. "Hang on," Kai said, pressing his hands to the dragon's chest, checking for injuries. He tore strips from his uniform, wrapping wounds as best he could. Pyrrhus's golden eyes met his, filled with trust, fear, and determination all at once. The Xenon fleet hovered above, unsure whether to engage fully. Capturing a dragon meant risk, especially one so bonded with a human. Kai realized then that their bond was more powerful than they understood. Pyrrhus was willing to take danger, even injury, to protect him. And Kai felt the same. The human mind and the dragon's strength had merged in a way the galaxy had not predicted. Kai helped Pyrrhus to his feet. The dragon stumbled at first but regained balance. Together, they moved toward a hidden canyon, a place Kai had scouted before. The cliffs narrowed, and the alien sensors could not follow easily. Kai held out scraps of energy from the flare traps, leading the fleet into false paths, confusing them further. Pyrrhus's fire roared, controlled and precise, keeping the aliens at bay without causing unnecessary destruction. By nightfall, they had reached a hidden cave system deep in the cliffs. Pyrrhus collapsed inside, exhausted, breathing heavily. Kai sat beside him, pressing bandages to the dragon's wounds. "I can't lose you," he whispered. The dragon's low rumble sounded like a reply. He realized the creature had risked death for him, and he would do the same without hesitation. The fleet retreated temporarily, regrouping and reconsidering. They underestimated a human's courage and intelligence, and the loyalty of a dragon. Kai understood that the galaxy might try again, stronger and smarter, but he also knew they had something the Xenons could not understand, a bond born of trust, fear, and mutual respect. That night, Kai and Pyrrhus rested, side by side. The dragon's golden eyes glowed faintly, reflecting the firelight. Kai watched him carefully, feeling a strange pride. Not just in surviving, but in the connection they had forged. Pyrrhus had learned to fight, to protect, and to trust, while Kai had learned courage and strategy beyond what he imagined possible. Together, they were unstoppable, not just because of strength, but because of loyalty and understanding. Kai whispered into the quiet cave, "They will come again, but we will be ready. They may have weapons, but they will never understand us. Not like we understand each other." Pyrrhus rumbled softly, a sound Kai interpreted as agreement. The galaxy might send hunters, armies, or warships, but Kai and Pyrrhus were no ordinary human and dragon. They were partners. And together, they would face the sky, no matter the danger. The night passed quietly, but tension lingered. Kai knew the Xenons would return, but he felt ready. Pyrrhus stirred occasionally, checking the shadows, muscles tensing, wings flexing. Kai placed a hand on the dragon's scaled neck. "We'll survive. Together," he said. Pyrrhus rumbled again, this time with certainty. In that moment, Kai knew the bond they had created was stronger than fear, stronger than any fleet. The galaxy could try to take him back, but Pyrrhus would not allow it. And Kai would not allow himself to be separated from the dragon who had already risked death for him. Kai and Pyrrhus rested in the hidden cave as dawn crept over the jagged cliffs. The alien fleet had retreated for now, but Kai knew it was only a matter of time before they returned. Yet this time, he felt different. He and Pyrrhus had grown stronger, faster, and smarter. More than that, their bond had deepened. They no longer needed words. A glance, a gesture, or a shift of weight was enough to communicate trust, caution, or strategy. Kai watched the dragon's golden eyes flicker in the morning light, and for the first time, he understood something the galaxy might never learn. Courage and loyalty could surpass technology and fear. Kai knew they needed a plan to survive permanently, not just evade attacks. The starship was beyond repair, but the planet held resources they could use. He spent the morning carefully studying the terrain with Pyrrhus by his side. The dragon moved beside him silently, muscles coiled, wings flexing, eyes scanning for danger. Kai realized Pyrrhus had learned to think like a human in some ways, anticipating threats, understanding strategy, and reacting with careful precision. The dragon was more than a beast, it was an ally. By midday, they explored a valley filled with crystalline plants that emitted soft energy pulses. Kai recognized the potential. The plants could be used to create small defensive barriers or camouflage signals. Pyrrhus moved ahead cautiously, sniffing the air, testing paths, and signaling Kai with a rumble when danger approached. The human and dragon worked seamlessly together, each learning from the other. Kai taught Pyrrhus to use the terrain to hide, to confuse senses, and to strike with precision when needed. Pyrrhus taught Kai patience, timing, and the power of instinct. As the sun dipped, the alien fleet appeared again, smaller this time, scouting for signs of the dragon. Kai and Pyrrhus had prepared traps and diversions. Rocks fell from cliffs in timed patterns, strange glowing plants ignited in bursts of light, and the dragon roared, a sound that shook the valley. The Xenons hesitated, their scanners overwhelmed by the combination of fire, light, and sudden movement. Kai realized then that the galaxy had no idea what a human could teach even a dragon, and what a dragon could teach a human in return. The alien ships attacked, but Kai stayed calm. He signaled Pyrrhus with a subtle gesture, and the dragon responded instantly, twisting in midair, flames spitting in controlled bursts to disable the lead ship's sensors. Kai moved quickly, using makeshift devices he had built to confuse the targeting systems. Together, they forced the fleet to retreat again. Kai could feel Pyrrhus's strength pulsing through every movement. The dragon was tired, wounded, but determined. It would fight, not for instinct alone, but because Kai had shown care, respect, and trust. After the battle, they returned to their cave, both exhausted. Kai pressed his hands to Pyrrhus's scales, checking for injuries, and the dragon leaned into him, low rumbling vibrating through its chest. Kai whispered softly, "You didn't have to risk yourself. But you did. That's something the galaxy doesn't understand." Pyrrhus responded with a gentle rumble, as if acknowledging the human's words. Kai realized that even the fiercest creatures could be taught loyalty and courage, not by force, but by example. Days passed, and the two became even closer. Kai explored new areas, teaching Pyrrhus to move quietly over the glowing rocks and through the crystal forests. He created small shelters for them, traps for the aliens, and methods to store energy from the glowing plants. Pyrrhus continued to watch, learn, and anticipate. The dragon's movements grew smoother, more calculated, more thoughtful. It was not just survival, it was understanding, strategy, and partnership. One evening, Kai looked at the horizon. The sky was painted in reds and oranges, and the cliffs cast long shadows across the valleys. "We've taught each other a lot, haven't we?" he murmured. Pyrrhus tilted his head, eyes glimmering. Kai thought about the galaxy, the species that feared humans, that dismissed dragons as uncontrollable beasts. Yet here, on this hidden planet, he had learned that humans could inspire loyalty and courage even in the most feared creatures. And dragons could teach humans strength, instinct, and patience beyond any calculation. As night fell, Kai and Pyrrhus lay side by side near the fire. The dragon's golden eyes reflected the flames, steady and bright. Kai felt a sense of peace. He had survived the crash, evaded the alien fleet, and formed a bond that no weapon or fleet could break. Pyrrhus had learned to trust a human completely, and Kai had learned the power of patience, care, and courage. Together, they had changed what the galaxy thought possible. Suddenly, a small signal flashed from the horizon. Kai's heart leapt. It was faint, almost hidden, but it meant someone, or something, had noticed them. He stood, brushing ash from his uniform. Pyrrhus rose beside him, wings flexing, golden eyes scanning the skies. Kai realized that the bond they shared would guide them through whatever came next. The human mind, combined with the dragon's strength, had created something the galaxy could not predict: loyalty, courage, and partnership. Kai smiled, resting a hand on Pyrrhus's massive shoulder. "We've taught each other something the universe doesn't understand," he said quietly. "They mocked humans, and they feared dragons, but together, we've shown them something new. Strength is not just in firepower. It's in trust, in courage, and in the willingness to protect someone, no matter the cost." Pyrrhus rumbled low, a deep, satisfied sound. The alien fleet never returned in full force. Scouts came, but they were cautious, wary of the traps, the fire, and the dragon who moved with the intelligence of a human. Kai realized then that the galaxy had learned, even if slowly, that humans were not to be underestimated. A single human, guided by loyalty and courage, could inspire even the fiercest dragon to fight, to protect, and if needed, to die for him. Kai and Pyrrhus flew over the cliffs the next morning. The planet stretched beneath them, jagged, glowing, and alive. Kai looked down at the dragon's powerful wings and golden eyes. "We've changed the rules," he said softly. "Not by weapons or fear, but by example." Pyrrhus roared, a sound of victory and promise, echoing through the valleys. Together, they would face the galaxy, stronger than any fleet, unbreakable, and united. And in that quiet moment, Kai understood fully what humans could teach the universe: loyalty, courage, and the power to inspire even the most fearsome creatures to fight for something greater than themselves. Pyrrhus had learned it. Kai had learned it. And the galaxy would never forget it.